What's up, guys? Today we're going to be ranking UFC key matchups on how exciting they are. Some of these matchups in this video are already announced, and the other ones on here have not been made, but will likely be made in the near future. So I want to take 19 matchups on this list and rank them from S to who cares, with the who cares tier obviously being who cares, B being decent but meh, A being exciting, and S being like the best of the best that I absolutely have to see. So let's get right into it, starting off with none other than Belal Muahhamad versus JDM. I'm going to put Belal Muahhamad versus JDM in the B tier. Listen, at this point, watching a Belal fight is like watching someone repeat. It's the same thing. It just him spamming takedowns over and over, getting control time and win the round, spam takedowns, get on your back, get control time, win the round, pressure you with some boxings, get a takedown. That's just a Belal fight for you. He has great boxing, he has great pressure, he has great control, but let's be real, even JDM is saying it in the fight buildup, his fight style isn't exciting, and I just think it's a foregone conclusion that Belal is going to beat JDM by 49-46 decision, so I can't be overly excited for a Belal Muahhamad fight. I don't think it's a who cares kind of fight, but I definitely am not going to put it up in the A or S tier, you know? So Belal Muahhamad versus JDM, for me, is a B tier fight. Moving on to the next fight, we have Bo Nickal versus Renier de Ridder. You know what? I'm on the fence about this one. A or B? You know what? I'm going to give Bo Nickal his respect, and I know it's crazy to get more excited for a Bo Nickal fight than a championship fight, but listen, I am excited to see Bo Nickal get tested. I am, because Bo Nickal has fought nothing but cans and been very privileged throughout his UFC run, getting UFC main card slots on 300 and 308 when he didn't deserve it, in my opinion. But he's finally facing an actual test in Renier de Ridder. Renier de Ridder is 2-0 in the UFC, submitting Mearshart and submitting Kevin Holland. And listen, man, if this fight goes to the ground, Bo Nickal's in trouble. If this fight's on the feet, he could be in trouble. Renier de Ridder has legit knockout power. And as shown in the Gerald Mearshart fight, he dropped him with a nasty right hand. And he has legit insane ground game. So Bo Nickal is not going to be able to just take this guy down. So either we're going to see Bo Nickal in the striking, piece up Renier de Ridder on the feet, and avoid the power shots, or we're going to see it go to the ground where Renier de Ridder can very dangerously offer submissions against Bo Nickal. So I have this in the A tier. I might move it to B at the end of the video. I don't know yet, but as of now, I'll keep it in A tier. I'm not like insanely excited, but I am intrigued to see like who wins this fight, because I'm finally happy to see Bo Nickal get a real test in Renier de Ridder. Moving on to the next one. This fight's insane, and I'm so happy the UFC has made it. Pena versus Harrison. WMMA always has me on the edge of my seats. If you don't have goosebumps and you're not shivering in your chair right now thinking about this fight, then are you really a true UFC fan? And all jokes aside, no one cares about Julianna Pena as champion. Kayla Harrison's going to run right through her, and after that, the division's pretty much dead because the women's bantamweight is so shallow. It was Holly Holm, Amanda Nunes, Miesha Tate, and Julianna Pena for the longest time. And now most of those fighters are gone, and now we got the Raquel Penningtons and the Julianna Penas, and now the Kayla Harrisons. But if Kayla Harrison smashes Julianna Pena, which I think she will do, it's like, who cares, first of all, because it's women's bantamweight. Second of all, who are we excited for Kayla Harrison to face after that? It's like nobody. There's nobody at women's bantamweight. Women's divisions are so shallow right now, so I got to put this in who cares, because let's be honest, who cares? Moving on to the next fight, we're going to throw in there Merab versus Sean O'Malley 2. Now, I wanted to throw this in the who cares, and I might move it at the end of the video, but I'm going to put it in B tier. There is some level of excitement to every single Sean O'Malley fight. You know, there's always the spectacle of like, oh, if anybody can put out Merab's lights, it will be Sean O'Malley. But it's like, I just don't see it happening, man. I think Merab's going to grapple his way to a 49-46 decision against O'Malley again. People were talking about O'Malley's going to switch it up in the rematch. He's going to be throwing more teeps. He's going to be smarter. He's going to do what he did in the 5th round and the 1st round. But it's like, dude, you're acting like Merab's going to come in there with the same exact game plan. Look at the Merab fight versus Sean, and then look at the one versus Umar. Completely different game plans. Merab has shown time and time again that he has an amazing ability to game plan, and I just don't see a way Sean O'Malley beats Merab. If Sean O'Malley is going to beat Merab, he has to knock him out. I think Dvalishvili is going to win that decision every single time. But nonetheless, it is an undeserved title shot. And as you know, I'm not a fan of those kind of title shots. I like guys who have earned their way. Like Petr Yan arguably deserves a title shot more, even though stylistically Merab probably beats him easier than Sean O'Malley. It's just, come on, man. O'Malley had one title defense, and he hasn't fought since he lost the belt. They're giving him an immediate rematch. Either way, let's get it out the way. I'm not overly excited, so I have this one in the B tier. Moving on to the next fight, I'm going to throw Rodriguez versus Pitbull. And honestly, I don't want to be a hater, bro, but I really don't care about Patricio Pitbull's debut in the UFC. Like, even Jon Anik tried to give him a shout out at the press conference with Yair Rodriguez, and the audience was silent. Like, bro, nobody's really clamoring to see Pitbull in the UFC. He's 37 years old. And for Yair Rodriguez, I mean, this guy's been around forever. He's proven he's not championship caliber. He just got submitted by Brian Ortega. He got destroyed by Volkanovski, which no shame in that. But I'm sorry, man. And this is probably going to be me being a hater. I can see the hardcores in the comments like, dude, you're not excited for Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez? You're a casual, man. Pitbull's a legend. And while I do agree, I'm just at 37 years old, Pitbull making his debut versus Yair. It's like, sure, it'll be a decently exciting fight, but like, I'm not going to be on the edge of my seat or like, oh my God, Pitbull versus Rodriguez, dude. You got to watch this fight. It's a banger. Like, Yair has great striking. Pitbull's a great MMA fighter, but at the end of the day, man, who's really talking about this matchup outside of Jon Anik? Not really anybody. So maybe I'll move this up to B tier at the end of the video, but as of now, I'll keep it in the who cares. Moving on to the next fight on this list, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. I'm going to put it in the A tier, but I'll put it at the top of A tier. But I'm going to be honest, it's going to be very hard to build the hype that the first fight had because it was the unknown. You know, Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev. Alex Pereira's beaten all these strikers. He's knocking them out. But what happens when he fights an MMA fighter in Ankalaev? And we've seen that in Alex Pereira lost. And it's like now, Alex Pereira's lost a bit of his aura. Whenever he faces Ankalaev, he's going to be older. He's most likely going to be slower. Whereas Ankalaev's in his absolute prime. He's going to have more confidence, not fighting during Ramadan. And according to him, he only trained a week. But there's also the notion that Alex was hurt and he was sick. But either way, man, the rematch almost never has as much steam as the first fight whenever you're talking about like fights. The first fight typically has the more hype, especially if one of the guys had all complete aura and he lost it. Don't get me wrong, I am excited for this matchup, and Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev, who knows if it's a completely different fight. Maybe Alex goes out there and starches him in the first round. Maybe Ankalaev starches Alex. Either way, it's always going to be a fun fight and the most competitive fight at light heavyweight. So yeah, I got to have this in the A tier. This will probably go down in August, even though Ankalaev's claiming Pereira turned down the fight in August. I can see this going down between August and September. Ankalaev versus Pereira 2, I'm going to have in the top of A tier as of now. Moving on to the next fight, Garry versus Prates. You know what? Shout out to Ian Garry for stepping up on short notice. Yes, I'm more excited for Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates than I am for two title fights, 100%. I'm not going to pretend like just because a belt's on the line, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. Just not true, man. I'm not excited for a Belal Muahhamad fight. However, I am excited for a Carlos Prates fight because this guy came on the scene in 2024, and this dude got 4 knockouts, 4 finishes in his first 4 fights in the UFC, and now the GOAT Ian Garry is stepping up once again on short notice to take on Prates in just over 3 weeks, and you got to give Ian Garry his flowers, man. Took on Shavkat Rakhmonov on short notice, gave him all he could handle, very close fight, but he ended up dropping a decision, and now he's facing one of the most dangerous Muay Thai fighters that we've ever seen in the UFC. I mean, Prates is as dangerous as they come, and in terms of knockout power, he has the most knockout power at 170. The notion going into this fight, or the narrative, should I say, is that Ian Garry is going to have the grappling advantage, and that in itself is going to get him the win over Prates. I myself think Prates is going to win. I think the power difference will be evident in the fight. The only thing I am worried about is it's a 5-rounder. So how will Prates' gas tank look for 5 rounds? This guy is a chain smoker. Let's not forget this guy chain smokes cigarettes. People forget, man. Carlos Prates is an old head. Dude's cracking some Newports before his fights. But either way, this is a banger. Yes, I'm more excited for this fight than Merab O'Malley 2 or JDM versus Belal Muahhamad. It's a more exciting matchup for me personally, so I have this in the A tier. Moving on to the next fight, Volkanovski versus Lopes. People are going to hate this, man, but I'm putting this... no, I'm not going to do Volk like that. I'm not going to do Volk like that. I'm going to put Volkanovski Lopes right under Ankalaev Pereira. I'm more excited to see Ankalaev Pereira than I am to see Volkanovski versus Lopes. Listen, Volkanovski's had his long title run, man. He's had his 5 title defenses. He's done the dance, but let's be real, man. This guy's 36. He's been out a year and a half. And he's coming back to face a dangerous guy in Diego Lopes. And listen, the issue I have with Volkanovski versus Lopes, right, is it's so weird to see Volkanovski, who got knocked out by Topuria in his last fight, to be fighting for the vacant belt that Topuria vacated. It's very strange to me. And if Volkanovski wins this fight, it really does kind of tarnish the featherweight division, because now you got a guy holding the belt that dropped a loss to Topuria by knockout, and it's like the division loses all aura. So honestly, for the health of the division, we kind of need Diego Lopes to win. Otherwise, it just looks like Topuria's son in Volkanovski has the belt, and it's a bad look. But I am picking Diego Lopes by KO. I do think he'll get old man Volk out of there. Not because I think Diego Lopes is a better fighter, but more so because I think Volkanovski's aging. I think his chin's going to be worse than it ever has before. He's going to be slower. He's going to be older. So yes, with all those factors, I am picking Diego Lopes. But I'll be honest, this is not the most exciting fight for the featherweight title. It's without Ilia Topuria in the featherweight title picture, there's not like a breakout fight. It's like, wow, this is way above the others. But nonetheless, I am excited for this fight. I am excited to see the return of Volkanovski and the return of my favorite fighter in Lopes. So it will be a banger. So I have this one in the A tier. Moving on to the next fight, Jose Aldo versus Aiemann Zahabi. Let's be real, who cares? Why is Jose Aldo fighting Ariel Helwani, first of all? I mean, I'm not excited for this fight. I don't know a lot of people who are excited for this fight. Jose Aldo, once again, is getting fed an up-and-comer. He fought Jonathan Martinez, then he fought Mario Bautista, and now he's fighting Aiemann Zahabi. Is this Jose Aldo's like option to fight these fighters, or is the UFC forcing it down his throat? I don't know, but Jose Aldo's a legend. Give this guy legend matchups. He's almost fighting contenders like he's trying to get back to the belt. I don't ever see Aldo winning the belt again. So let's do like some legend versus legend matchups. Let's do Aldo versus Cejudo. Let's do, I don't know. Who else is a legend at bantamweight? Let's do Aldo versus Rob Font. Have they fought yet? They might have fought already. But either way, why are we giving Aldo these? I would say young up-and-comers, but Aiemann Zahabi is 37 years old. So the fact is, Aiemann Zahabi being a 37-year-old prospect is hilarious to me. But let's be real. Who cares about this fight? Most people don't even know that Jose Aldo's returning against Aiemann Zahabi unless you're a hardcore. So the casuals definitely don't know about this fight. They just know of Aldo. But yeah, man, who really cares about this fight? Jose Aldo's going to piece up Aiemann Zahabi, and that's all she wrote. So yeah, let's move on to the next fight where we have Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. I'm going to put this in the B tier. Honestly, I'm kind of over the whole Chandler shtick. To some degree, I am excited to see Paddy Pimblett get tested, and this is an exciting fight, which is why it's on this video, but don't be mistaken, man. I'm not a big fan of Michael Chandler. Ooh, he's the most exciting fighter in the UFC, man. Scott throws back at the headshots and grabs the cage and eye pokes and fish hooks fighters and waits out for Conor McGregor fights and gets unlimited UFC privilege and is 2-4 in the UFC, and this is the first time he's having to fight an up-and-comer in Paddy Pimblett. Man, Michael Chandler is the privileged of the privileged when it comes to UFC fighters. But his fight against Paddy Pimblett, it's got some excitement, I got it in the B tier, which is at the bottom of excitement, but there's a little bit of excitement there. I'm not going to pretend like I'm like, oh my God, dude, Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. Wow, dude, amazing. Like, that's not my reaction to it. But I am excited to see the level that Paddy Pimblett is at. I'm excited to see if Chandler can fraud check Paddy Pimblett. So I don't know if it's really a fraud check because Michael Chandler's been a top lightweight for a while now, despite being 2-4 in the UFC. But nonetheless, Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler, it is an exciting matchup, but I don't think it's exciting as the A-tier matchup. So I'm going to have this. We'll put Belal versus JDM at the bottom of B tier, and we'll put Chandler Pimblett under Merab versus O'Malley too. That's kind of where I have it. Belal JDM, I'm sorry, I'm just not excited for that matchup. A lot of people aren't going to like that. Call me a Belal hater. I'm just, like I said, watching Belal fights is just like watching a fight on repeat. Feels like I'm watching the same thing over and over. But nonetheless, let's move on to the next fight. Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Skill for skill, in my opinion, this might be the best fight in UFC history you could put on. Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, two of the most well-rounded fighters in the history of the UFC. Arguably both undefeated. Well, not arguably. Islam had a loss 10 years ago, but he's basically undefeated. Ilia Topuria, 15-0. Islam Makhachev, 15-fight win streak. Both UFC champions, both in the pound-for-pound top three. Both have elite skills all around the board. Islam definitely is more proven in the grappling, but man, this fight is one of those fights that would give me shivers. Because, like, anytime you have so much at stake, Ilia Topuria's undefeated record, his unbroken confidence versus Islam Makhachev. Brother, who's this guy, brother? Somebody needed to check his grappling. And Islam will check Ilia Topuria's grappling, but it's like people are drawing the narrative that, listen, if Volkanovski can drop Islam Makhachev, imagine what Topuria can do. And I agree. That's a hard fight for Makhachev, but it's also the hardest fight for Topuria. This is the fight to make, and I hate that Islam's telling Topuria to fight a contender. And although I wouldn't hate it if he fought Charles, man, I want to see Islam versus Topuria before this fight slips away, because Islam's only getting older. He's 33 now. I need to see this fight before Islam retires. So please, UFC, International Fight Week. Pay them the big bucks. Let's do Makhachev versus Topuria. This would be the ultimate fight for International Fight Week. So yeah, for me, this is an absolute S tier fight. No question about it. Islam versus Ilia. Moving on to the next fight. Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I'm going to put it... I don't want to disrespect Pantoja because he is an exciting champion and he is extremely skilled. So I'm not going to put him in the who cares because listen, man, although I don't have goosebumps and I'm not like on the edge of my seat whenever Pantoja's in the cage, there is a level of excitement whenever he fights. There is a level of like aura around him because of his skill at flyweight. It's just that the small guys they do have a hard time building up hype around their fights. So I'm going to have this under Belal versus JDM. Let's be real. Kai Kara-France is basically another Pantoja victim. He's probably just going to get out-grappled and out-hustled and maybe even choked out. But the reason this fight is somewhat exciting is that Kai Kara-France, as shown in the Usyk fight, does have that one-hitter quitter. So if Kai Kara-France connects on the legendary chin of Alexandre Pantoja, listen, man, Pantoja is about to be 35 at flyweight. Father time's undefeated. If anybody can crack that chin, it is Kai Kara-France. I don't think it would happen. I do think Pantoja would probably get a submission or just a dominant grappling decision. But it is a somewhat of an exciting fight. But it's like, come on, man. Pantoja's running circles around these guys. So it's hard to be excited. But I am going to give Pantoja his respect. I'm not going to put him in the who cares tier. But I do have him in the B tier. Moving on to the next fight. Petr Yan versus Umar. I'm going to put this in the A tier. And I'm going to put this under Volkanovski. I'm going to put it under Volkanovski versus Lopes. Listen, skill for skill in the bantamweight division, this is one of the best fights you can put on. Petr Yan, arguably the best boxing in the division. Insane judo trips. Insanely skilled all around. Petr Yan, despite like not being on like an insane win streak, this dude is so skilled, man. He just had an unfortunate events happen in his career. Same thing with Umar. Umar just lost to Merab. It was his first loss, but Umar is skilled, man. He's a great striker. He has great kicks. He has great grappling, great jiu-jitsu. Versus Petr Yan, who has great takedown defense. He has great judo throws, great boxing. He just doesn't have power. So this would be what we call a chess match, as the hardcores like to find it. I don't think the actual fight itself would be like a barn burner or be exciting, but the matchup itself, the chess match itself is exciting, but the fight itself probably wouldn't be exciting. Does that make sense? But nonetheless, Petr Yan versus Umar. This fight's not signed yet, but all signs are pointing towards it, being that Sandhagen and Figueiredo were booked, and then you got O'Malley versus Merab for the belt. That leaves Petr Yan versus Umar next, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, this is an A-tier matchup for me. I am excited for it if it gets announced. Yeah, let's get the UFC going. Moving on to the next one, Shevchenko versus Fiorot, the most badass UFC women's flyweight title fight in the history of the company. You have Valentina Shevchenko, the unstoppable Kyrgyzstanian force, versus the French phenom in Manon Fiorot. If you're not looking forward to this fight, you're not a true hardcore UFC fan. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, Valentina Shevchenko, it's unfortunate, man, because she's probably going to beat Manon Fiorot, and it just kills the division, man, because she beat Grasso, and she's almost 37 years old, and Valentina Shevchenko reigning over the division. The women's divisions are already boring. In my opinion, having a dominant champion in the women's divisions makes the divisions even more boring. I don't know what, in the men's division, having a dominant champion is very fun, but in the women's, it just doesn't hold up as well unless it's Amanda Nunes. So I'm kind of hoping Manon Fiorot beats her, but nonetheless, who really cares? Like, who is talking about, like, are you with your friends at work saying, man, did you hear that Manon Fiorot versus Shevchenko got announced, dude? Oh my gosh, dude, I am on the edge of my seat even thinking about it. No one cares about this matchup. No one's clamoring for it, but nonetheless, Valentina Shevchenko is probably going to claim another victim in Manon Fiorot, or Fiorot will take over and France will finally have their first official UFC champion. But nonetheless, it is a title fight, but it doesn't have any excitement for me. Moving on to the next fight, Bryce Mitchell versus Jean Silva. I'm going to put it right, and this is crazy. A lot of people are not going to like me putting this fight above title fights. Listen, I'm going to put Bryce Mitchell and John Silva above Belal Muahhamad and Jack Della Maddalena, and above Pantoja versus Kara-France. Let's be real, bro. This is an exciting matchup, especially since the antics of John Silva, and then you have like the Bryce Mitchell, like his whole like tirade he went on recently on his podcast, and then you have Bryce Mitchell saying that John Silva's a demon and that you're not the Lord, brother. I got the Lord in my heart. And then you already know Bryce Mitchell's going to go in the octagon with a Bible in his hand screaming, freedom! But yes, this is an exciting matchup. I'm excited to see it. And yeah, man, if John Silva destroys Bryce Mitchell, listen, this guy's looking to be in the top 5 by the end of the year. Let's be real. John Silva is on a fast track to the belt with a rocket strapped to him. and I could see it happening. But I think people are underrating Bryce Mitchell in this matchup. Let me just say, I'm picking Jon Silva, right? But I do think that people are underrating Bryce Mitchell in this matchup. He does have amazing jiu-jitsu and probably a little bit of underrated striking. Go back and watch that Topuria versus Mitchell fight. Bryce's striking looked pretty good, but nonetheless, Mitchell did get folded by Dan Ige, and then he came back to beat Kron Gracie. So Bryce Mitchell hasn't proven anything in a while, but I am excited to see Jon Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. It is going to prove how good is Jon Silva in his first ranked opponent. So yeah, I'm excited for this fight. I think the build up and getting closer to the fight, it's going to get more and more exciting. So is this, wait, am I tweaking? Is this fight on UFC 312? Drop it in the comments. Is Unk MMA a casual? Is Bryce Mitchell versus Jon Silva at UFC 312? This matchup a lot closer than I thought. Oh crap, man. Time is flying, boys. This is next weekend. Either way, let's move on to the next fight. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not as excited for Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall as I am for Makhachev Topuria, mostly because of burnout. Tom Aspinall has been the interim champion since November of 2023. Jon Jones has been tucking his tail ever since Tom became interim champion. He doesn't want to fight him, but he also doesn't want to let go of the belt. It's like, okay, bro, if you don't want to fight Tom, then drop the belt, vacate it, let Tom get his heavyweight undisputed title. You're just holding up the division. So honestly, if this fight was booked the second that Tom won the interim belt, I would have been like over the hill or screaming from the rooftops excited about this fight. But the issue for me is I'm just burned out of hearing it. I'm burned out of Jon Jones saying he doesn't want to fight Tom and pricing himself out. I'm burned out of seeing Tom just like, oh, can we just get the Jones fight going? I'm just burned out of talking about this fight. It still is S-tier excitement for me because there is nothing I want more than Tom Aspinall to send Jon Jones' head into orbit. But with that being said, I still have trouble getting excited for this matchup as much as I once did because of the burnout and how long we've been talking about it, and it's not even signed yet. And now Jones is saying he wants 6 months to train for Aspinall. It is exciting. It is Jon Jones at the end of the day fighting his toughest matchup in his entire career. So obviously it's an exciting matchup, but I think that Makhachev versus Topuria for me right now is a more exciting matchup. Moving on to the next fight, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. I'm going to put this at the bottom of B tier. It's got a little bit of excitement, but I mean, it's a foregone conclusion. People are writing Burns off. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 38 years old versus the surging young Ecuadorian 25-year-old Michael Morales, who burst onto the scene, destroyed Neil Magny, undefeated in the UFC. It's a foregone conclusion that he's going to steamroll Burns, and then Burns is probably going to retire. That's probably what's going to happen. So it's hard to get excited for a matchup whenever you kind of know what the outcome's going to be. Hence why I have Merab versus Sean 2, Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, Pantoja, Cara France, and Burns Morales all in the B tier and not the A tier, because a lot of these fights you can pretty much predict what's going to happen, and on top of that, they're not the most exciting fights. You know, like, I don't know. I do respect Gilbert Burns for actually taking on an up-and-comer, unlike Colby Covington. I know he took on Joaquin Buckley, but that was the first time he's taken on an up-and-comer in his entire career, arguably. So Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. I am picking Michael Morales by second round TKO, but it's a good fight. I am a little excited for it, but like I'm not getting goosebumps. You know, I'm going to be chilling while I'm watching this fight. There's not a lot of stakes on the line for this fight. So B tier in my opinion. Moving on to the next fight, Corey Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. You know what? I'm going to put this. I want to put this right under Chandler Pimblett, but right over Silver Mitchell. It has some excitement. Corey Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. But in my opinion, these are two guys that are never going to touch the bantamweight belt. Corey Sandhagen, people like to think this guy is he's a young dork, but let's be real. This guy's almost 33 at bantamweight. Corey Sandhagen is not exactly a spring chicken. And for Deiveson Figueiredo, I mean, this guy's 37 years old. He's coming off a loss to Piotr Jan. You know, how much gas does Deiveson Figueiredo have in the tank? It is, technically speaking, a great matchup. It's fun, but let's be real. Corey Sandhagen is not that exciting fighter that he used to be. The one that knocked out Frankie Edgar, you know? The one that was such a savage and talked about destroying guys in the octagon. He seems more timid these days, and he seems like more willing to engage in the grappling. And like, I don't know, Corey Sandhagen is not exciting as he once was, is what I'm saying. So for me, this matchup is what I would call another chess match. So I have it in the B tier. It is a great main event for Des Moines. And yeah, I'm somewhat excited. Also, speaking of UFC Des Moines, Iowa, why isn't Jeremy Stevens showing on that card on the UFC website? Can somebody tell me in the comments? I thought that Jeremy Stevens was on that card, but I got to look on the website and he wasn't there. But nonetheless, let's get back to the video. The last matchup on this entire video, Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I am going to put this at the bottom of S tier. Listen, For me, stylistically, this is one of the most exciting matchups in the UFC because one of two things are going to happen, right? Either Khamzat's going to go out there, he's going to take Dricus down, and he's going to either ground and pound TKO him, which I don't think will happen, or he's going to submit him. Khamzat's going to take down Dricus, submit him in the first round, or Dricus is going to survive, weather the storm, get to the second, third, fourth, and fifth round, and beat the brakes off of Khamzat and prove that he's really him. I don't know, man. This is why this matchup is so exciting because it can go either way. Is Dricus' takedown defense, well, I don't think it's an issue if his takedown defense because he's going to get taken down. Is his jiu-jitsu defense enough to hold Khamzat Chimaev from submitting him? Listen, if Usman can do it, I think Dricus can do it. And Dricus has that weird neck where he looks like he would be hard to submit. Like he has that little short, stocky neck. He don't have a long neck, so it would be harder to submit him. But nonetheless, I am excited for this fight. For me, this is an S-tier fight. Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat. And I hope this fight gets announced soon. Who is fighting on International Fight Week? I would like to know. Where is the UFC building up the excitement? We should have International Fight Week signed and dotted and signed and all that good stuff right now. But the UFC is always slow to announce their matchups. But nonetheless, these are 19 matchups that I wanted to rank the levels of excitement. S through who cares. Like I said, not all of these matchups are exactly announced yet, but a lot of them are more than likely going to happen, so I threw them in the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Where would you rank some of these fights in terms of excitements, and what other fights are you excited for? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment, and I'm out, guys. Peace.